on. However, her passion for the arts industry, I think, is what has pushed her into establishing a project that is aimed at encouraging the teaching of arts to our young ones in schools and universities. And that is the main, I think, gist of what we're talking about today. Professor Cosbie Mbele has established an arts project that will honor those who keep the arts industry torch burning in South Africa. The Prof wants to celebrate people who go the extra mile to make sure that the arts do not disappear from schools and universities. So it's a huge pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Prof, you're a woman of many hats, if I can say that. All things to all men. Tell us about your journey and how you found this passion for the arts industry.
Yes, you know, I used to have a very, I used to have passion from the time I was very young. I was always in choirs, and my mother used to encourage me all the time, you know, just go an extra mile. And my role model was Miriam Makeba, actually. And I said, one day I'll be just like her somewhere in America, you know, encouraging people to respect Africa. And, you know, when I arrived in the States, it was like, you know, they don't know much about Africa. And I used the arts to educate the people, American, especially African Americans who still doubted that they were Africans. And I had to bring choirs. So when I finished my degrees, I was able to teach, lecture at the City University of New York. That's where I met a lot of artists who came, and during that time, that's when I was asked to be the visiting professor here at Wits. And at that time, that's when the former minister met me and said, you know, you're doing such a great job out there. Buya ekhaya.
Come back home.
Uzodla amadumbe. Angeke ngusize ule. That's when I really decided to come back, and I said, you know, I spent about 24 years in America with my brother, who was very supportive, and we used to bring choirs together. My brother Cosbie Mbele is also a singer. We started together as a, you know, as a family group with my younger sister Nonkonzo and my Mbuso, my brother Mbuso, who is a school principal. So I've been a teacher, you know, all my life. But at the end, I said, you know, I used to have a primary school teacher who said to me, you know, if you want to be a teacher, don't end up like me, teaching in one classroom for 30 years. I want you to go out there and be the ambassador of our country.
Wow.
And that's exactly what I did.
Wow. So wakumbule kaya, you came back home.
Yes.
Let's talk about the many projects that you've started now that you are back on South African soil.
Yes, there's a project that I do which is called Arts on Campus. It was initiated by the former Minister of Arts and Culture when I came back. And I said, you know, it's perfect for me because I'm an artist. Besides that, I'm an educator, I'm an author. You know, this is my book here, Lady Africa in America. In fact, it's my students who encouraged me to write this book, because I was lecturing and using some of the South African authors, Abomtutuzeli Machoba, Mpahlele, I mean, all these artists, Nadine Godima, and they said, write your own story. And I said, that's a good idea. I'll write a story. In fact, in some schools in the States, the book is prescribed, it's read. Here, it's also prescribed in a few schools. I wish people can read it, because you know, when I was in the States, actually, they used to call me Mandela's kid, because I was the first, you know, in that vicinity of mine, Mandela's kid from Mandela's country. So I was so touched, you know, I was so, when Utata Mandela is shown, I wish I could have a chance, you know, just to say something positive about this great man. Because when I was 12 years old, I met his daughter, Umagaziwe. Wow. And my mother introduced me to Umagaziwe and her mother, Umamase, a very polite lady, a God-fearing woman, and they just became friends with my mother. But at that time, I was still young, and I would ask, where is your father? And Magaziwe would just smile and look at me. And you know, later on, my mother said, don't ask that question again, because Gaga Magaziwe is in prison. And at that time, I said, why? Did he steal something? Then my mother had to explain to me, Guti, there are certain names that cannot be said in public, because maybe Umandela will be the future president of that country, of this country. I mean, that was in 1967. And
did you know that was prophetic?
Oh, it was so prophetic.
And I think the role of the arts in carrying that message has been so profound. Your now passion to make sure that the young people, the younger generation, know more about the arts industry is what has carried you through. Just as we wrap this interview, just maybe give us an understanding of the kind of work that you're doing in schools and how ordinary South Africans can come alongside you to fulfill this vision of yours.
Okay, definitely. Yeah, I have, like for an example, these young people, I discovered it in communities and schools. Lona Usakumzi is the latest album, Konagbo, Reliable, like a Carlton Center, Durban, City. These are Lady Smith, Abafana Bezamanani. They have a DVD also. These two, they are married now. I discovered them at the University of KZN. Great writer, Umlungisi, writes music. She is a great singer, Mabumbata, and they call themselves Ayami. So, I mean, I can just go on, and also thank the people who've really helped me, you know, just discovering these people, you know, like the Department of Arts and Culture, because I go all over the country. And I have a tweet, you know, artscampus@gmail.com, or email me cosbiem@mweb.co.za. But I'll be, you know, just sharing the information with newspapers here and there. But we've done a lot of work. Yvette's Choir, I was part of it, you know, Mabea USA at some point.
And we're going to sample that beautiful voice of yours in the third hour of the show. So we'll definitely get the proof of the pudding. And I know you're extremely talented. So thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there, but not without just getting a little bit of some of her music a little bit later on the show.